Hey guys, what is up? I just got done finishing the first episode of the new Disney Plus Marvel Studios series, Loki. So if you haven't seen it, this is going to be a spoiler. Now, I'm gonna cut to the chase. I did film this video earlier and made a longer spoiler review with a little bit more detail in it, but obviously some technical difficulties happened, so now I gotta make the spoiler review shorter. So if you haven't seen it yet, I suggest you stop right here at 31 seconds and go watch it now. If not, let's start. So it starts off showing us a flashback from Avengers Endgame where it's about that Loki, the Loki that actually escaped, grabbed the Tesseract, and bailed. So basically, it shows us that flashback, and then it cuts to that Loki, which is call him Loki from now on because it's still Loki. That Loki dropping down into a different place. I believe it was Egypt or somewhere else. I can't remember the name of it, but he basically dropped there, and so he runs into these group of people, and he basically says, "I'm Loki. I'm a god, and these people do not speak English." So they start speaking a different language, and Loki has no idea why they don't understand what he's saying, and he doesn't understand what they're saying. So, and they don't know who he is, so that makes him even more confused. So then this organization called the TVA show up, and they're basically like the time police. The time police. So they show up, they grab the Tesseract, and they basically tell Loki, "Hey, you shouldn't be here. You're under arrest." Loki obviously tries to fight, and it doesn't last long. It's like a 5-second fight. 5 seconds. You blink, it's over. The woman takes what looks like a stick, hits Loki in the face, and apparently this stick, once it hits you, apparently Loki starts falling backwards in slow motion. So when he gets hit with that stick, he moves at a slower speed and time than everyone else. So everyone else is moving regularly, he's moving slowly, but he still feels all that pain. So yeah, they arrest him, they take him to the TVA headquarters, they put a collar around his neck, so he pretty much is arrested now. They take him to a whole bunch of places where he has to sign off on paperwork, and he goes through this big metal detector thing, and it stops and makes a joke where he's like, "Am I a robot? Am I not? What happens if I'm a robot?" So this little guard basically tells him, "If you are a robot, that metal detector is going to melt you from the inside out." So Loki, obviously not a robot. Don't know what they were going for with that one. That was kind of a missed joke there. I didn't really get it. So he goes through, and then they wind up telling us exactly who the TVA are and who they work for. So come to find out, who they work for are these 3 timeline gods. And basically, the backstory is a long time ago, multiple different multiverse timelines battled each other for supremacy. So to keep the peace, these 3, I'll call them time gods, because I can't remember their name, time gods basically created one single timeline. So basically, everything that's happened in the MCU was supposed to happen the way they wanted it to. And because Loki grabbed the Tesseract and left in that backflash when they went back in time in Endgame, he basically disrupted the timeline and did the opposite of what he was supposed to do. So that being said, Loki pretty much stands trial and says, "Oh well, I'm not guilty. I'm Loki. I'm a god. If anything, you should be going after the Avengers. They broke time." But obviously, the judge said, "Well, we're not here for you. We're not here for the Avengers. We're here for you, and you broke the time rules." So, okay, Loki being Loki, he tries to escape. He tries to use his powers, and turns out they don't work because apparently magic powers do not work at that facility. So the judge sentenced him guilty, and he's about to be reset. Now, reset, I guess that means death, because there was another guy who was reset, and no, never mind. That's somebody different. So before he gets reset, this one guy comes in. He has white hair. Now, guys, I'm full disclosure here. They don't tell you anybody's names. I don't know any of these people's names. It's just Loki. I don't know any of their names. They don't tell you anything. So this white hair guy comes in to the courtroom, tells them to stop, don't reset him, and he basically has a plan for Loki. So he takes Loki and he brings him to an interrogation room. Now, this white haired man, where he came from, earlier in the episode, in I believe 1565, I believe it was. I could be wrong, but in like 1565, they were investigating something, and it turns out there's this rogue time remnant going around killing TVA units all throughout time. So he takes Loki to, so that's where he's from. He takes Loki to the interrogation room. He sets him down. He asks him questions, and he basically shows him footage of his entire life, like everything Loki's been through, from the original Avengers to the Dark World to Loki's mom getting killed. And he basically asks him, why do you like hurting people? Now, Loki, he doesn't believe any of this is real. He thinks it's a trick. He thinks it's a game. He thinks they're messing with him. So, obviously, Loki being Loki, he finds a way to escape. He does. He finds a way to escape. So now they're on the hunt for him, and finally, we do get a name for one of the people who work in this facility. This guy who works behind a desk named Casey. And it turns out Casey has spent his whole life behind that desk. So he does not know anything about anything. Because when Loki shows up, he threatens him and says, I'll gut you like a fish if you don't tell me where the Tesseract is or give me the Tesseract. He says, what's a fish? Yeah, he doesn't know what a fish is. He doesn't know what a fish is. He's like, what's a fish? How are you supposed to threaten me if I don't know what I'm being threatened with? So Loki just says, death. You'll be threatened with death. So Casey gives him the Tesseract. And so once he grabs the Tesseract, he looks down into the drawer and he sees that they have piles of Infinity Stones. Like Infinity Stones. And so it shocked me. So Loki, being surprised, he walks away, and turns out he walks away saying, is this the ultimate source of power? Because it turns out the Infinity Stones don't work in that facility. That facility is so powerful that the Infinity Stones do not work there. They don't. They're basically useless. So magic doesn't work, and the ultimate source of power, the Infinity Stones, don't work there. So, anywho, Loki goes back to the interrogation room after feeling a certain way. He continues watching the footage by himself, and so eventually he watches the footage all the way from Thor Ragnarok to Infinity War to his death. And at the meantime, we actually see emotion from Loki. He starts crying. He's crying. And I kind of feel bad for Loki. So then the TVA unit that captured him before, this dark-skinned lady, shows up, and he tries to fight her. He's not really successful at first, but he does trick her, gets his collar up, wraps it around her neck, and he starts to mess with her a little bit. Like, he basically takes a remote and starts playing with it, making her go back and forth. I guess like teleporting her through time or something. I don't know what they call it, but he basically messes with her and takes her from one place to the next. So then he sits down and starts thinking. So then the white hair guy comes back in, and he basically asks him again, why does he like hurting people? Loki pretty much says, I don't like hurting people. Now I won't tell you everything he said because, trying to make this video as short as possible because of the other technical difficulties. So, yeah. So, anywho, the white-haired guy asks Loki to help them, and Loki says, why do you need my help? Because turns out the rogue time variant that's killing all these TVA units is another version of Loki. I know. Plot twist. So they need Loki's help to track down another version of Loki. That's why they need him. So, anywho, the scene ends with a team of TVA units again going to this like farm, and once they go, they walk out and they touch the ground, and there's oil on the ground, like it's covered in oil. It's nighttime, so then they see a figure out in like the grass. And so the figure, which I guess you can tell, it probably is the other variant Loki. The Rogue Loki, we'll call him Rogue Loki. So, anywho, they stand there before they originally were going to leave and bail, but instead they came back because one of the female fugitives saw a figure in the grass. The figure takes a lantern, shatters it. Huge ball of flames covers all of them, and they die. And that's where it all ends right there. Now, I would say more, but I want to make this video short. But I will say this. One complaint I have with this video episode is the TVA. You guys work at a facility where it's so powerful that magic and the Infinity Stones do not work. Yet your armor, your suits that you wear aren't flameproof. They're not flameproof. So you mean to tell me you work at a facility that literally makes the Infinity Stones useless, but you couldn't make flameproof material to wear? Yeah, I can only imagine the conversation that went down when they were making those things. So yeah, what did you think of Loki? Tell me in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. Honestly, I like the show. I like the first episode. I can't wait to see what else they put out. Some jokes were hit and miss. Obviously, Loki stole the show. Now, of course, I didn't give you all the details because, short video, I'm trying. So, that was my reaction to Loki. Let me know what you guys think. And I will see you guys later. Peace.